So, once again, thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Harry Lopez, who is one, an awesome human being to start off with. Two, he's a renowned life coach who has changed the lives of so many people, and many would consider just a blessing of a human being just coming in and making everything so much better and all that kind of stuff and everything like that. So, how are you doing this weekend? How are your holidays?
Oh my goodness, I'm a little what do you call it? I had a little bit of a food coma today. I
Did
ate
you?
so
Nice.
much with my family. Yeah, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling super excited. It was a very special holiday. Just just given everything that's happening in the world, it's just really nice and comforting to be home with my family and to just get to spend some quality time together. What about you? How was your holiday?
It was good. A food coma as well. Got to chow down on some tamales today, so it was like, oh, it was so good. And yeah, it probably consumed like 4,000 calories worth of eggnog, and no regrets though, no regrets at all. So it's all good.
Wait, were you with your family? With your mom and dad
Yeah,
and
so I was
sister?
with my mom and dad and sister on Christmas Day, and then like a weekend before, I was with my grandmother to help her make tamales. And because the rule is, if you help make tamales, you get first dibs on a bag of tamales on a grip. So
All
I got
right.
to,
I
yeah,
like that. I like
right. So
that.
it was,
Yeah. Did you see my last TikTok, by the way?
no, I didn't. What was it
Oh
about?
my God. Oh my God. You gotta watch it. To me, it was really funny. I was
Yeah,
going into the refrigerator and I was taking my mom's last tamale and
yeah.
she was like yelling at me, put that tamale back in the refrigerator. You gotta watch it.
Oh,
I had
nice.
so much fun making it.
Yeah, I love your TikToks. They're always so good. They're so positive, and your dance moves are like 10-10, dude. You're amazing.
Why, thank you. Thank you. I feel seen. Thank you,
Right?
D'Angelo. I
Of
appreciate
course, of
that.
course. And then, okay, perfect. So, would you be able to take a moment to introduce yourself and your brand?
Yes, absolutely. Um, all right. Hello, everybody. My name is Harry Lopez. I'm so excited to be here with you today. This is my first time doing a Twitch interview. I'm based here in Miami, Florida, some stints in Los Angeles. I've been a full-time life and leadership coach for the last going on 4 years. I started in this work about 8 years ago. In education, I was working with teachers. I was going into classroom. I was a school teacher myself for a few years, and then I became a teacher coach. I fell in love with the work of transformation. I was going to school for coaching and working with teachers in the daytime. And I just, it was, I, to me, the work of coaching is around supporting people in stepping into the fullest expression of who they are in the world. And so when I first started in this work of coaching, I was, all my trauma was being revealed to me. All
Mm-hmm.
my years of all my childhood stuff, my wounds, everything was just like opening up. And the more that I was going deeper and deeper into myself and working on myself, the more I saw an opportunity to develop myself. And the more I developed myself, the more I wanted to bring this work of transformation to my community.
Yeah.
And so I started, I was working a 9 to 5 in tech
Mm-hmm.
for many years. After that, I was always kind of working in education, but I was coaching in the evenings. I was coaching on the weekends.
Yeah.
I was doing it for fun. I wasn't even charging for it. And all the while I was doing that, I was working with my own coaches and healers and
Yeah.
mentors and just trying to soak in the work as much as possible. And it got to a point where I started charging and I started making more money doing my coaching than I was at my 9 to 5. So I went full force into coaching.
Yeah.
And my coaching is just a blend of so many different styles and disciplines that I've picked up over the years: leadership coaching, ontological coaching, which is a
Mm-hmm.
study of the being, spiritual psychology. I bring in a lot of energetics and manifestation into my work. Um, I'm, I'm, I'm becoming and leaning more towards becoming more of a business coach with
Yeah.
a very deep emphasis on spirituality and consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
given that my understanding and the way that I operate and the way that I run my business, the way that I support my clients is that there are no business problems, there are human problems
Exactly. Yeah.
showing up in our businesses. And so the way that I support my clients in launching their businesses is really just coaching to the root of who they are and the root of whatever is showing up for them, whatever blocks self-worth, perfectionism, self-doubt, inner critic, not enoughness, comparison,
Yeah.
all of that, all of the stuff that's showing up. That's what we work towards, what we work through. And it's really not about getting rid of it. It's about being with it because it's always
Yeah.
going to show up. And What else? I love to dance. I love laughing. I love food.
Hmm.
I love travel. I'm really committed to the BIPOC and the
Yeah.
LGBTQ population and supporting them. I worked with a lot of great people. I worked with you. I worked with your sister. I worked with your mom.
Hmm.
I worked with a lot of your family. And yeah, I just love this work. It doesn't feel like work. It feels like a calling. It feels like it feels like energizing to get up in the morning
Yeah.
and get to support folks and just stepping into living, like fully living.
That's awesome. One of the things I love about you is that you are so genuine and so authentic that it just you know exudes from you. It just is amazing. It's just a beam of positivity. And the way that you came into my life was I had heard from my sister and my mother that like you have to meet this guy named Harry. He's an amazing human being, and like he's super creative, and he will help work with you to get through certain things and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, really? Does like because I had never heard of the term life coach before. We all know coach as someone who helps supervise and improve upon you in like a sports sort of thing or whatever, but never like a life coach. I had never heard of that before. So it was really awesome to get to hear about that and not only get to experience that, and then we got to do a free consultation, which was like about an hour long. I think I probably went over an hour actually, and yeah, going into that was such a wild experience because some of the things that really hit me hard was it was like, what do you want to accomplish? Why haven't you gotten it yet? Why aren't you striving for that thing? And you just had to like really dig down deep. And I think that's one of the most unique things about uh the Harry Lopez experience sort of thing, or maybe it's a life coach experience. I'm not sure, but it's just that ownership, that responsibility, the accountability of saying
Mm.
like, where do you want to be and why aren't you there right now? Why aren't you reaching for more? And that's like beautiful. Sorry, I'm like going kind of off track. So, um, for your origin story, you talked already a little bit about that of who you were before you were a life coach and everything, and how you got into it professionally. But could you speak a little bit as to like how you found your calling? Like, what was it about life coaching that attracted you to that? Did you always know you were like a personable person who always gave advice and decided to capitalize on it, or how did you find that?
That's a really great question, and thank you for what you said. All those
Of
words are
course.
so sweet, and I really deeply, I don't take them for granted. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've thought a lot about this question. I'm like, why do I love this work? And is it is it me playing on my trauma where I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to just support others and just kind of avoid my own stuff in a way, or just be that love that support person. I think a lot of it started when I was a child. I think, well, I know that when my parents got divorced when I was 9 years old,
Mm-hmm.
my mom, brother, and I were kind of on our own. And I saw my mom just working tirelessly as a single parent mother, as a
Yeah.
Latina, as an immigrant, like she had just
Oh
immigrated to this
wow. Yeah.
country. We went through some stuff. We went through some deep stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I took on a lot of personal responsibility. Observing my mom and how she works, and just wanting to be there for her. And I put on a lot of it was hurtful, and I'm still processing a lot of that stuff, and
Yeah.
still that stuff that I'm still working through, that I'm still waking up to. But there's this desire in me to given like the pain, as
Mm.
so to speak, to just for lack of better words, that I experienced as a child, to not want anyone to experience that level of pain in their lives.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening as a result of not even just my parents' divorce, but just my own identity and my upbringing, coming into my own identity as a queer man, was growing up in hiding, was living in shame about myself.
Yeah.
So I always overcompensated with achievement or accolades
Mm-hmm.
or doing, supporting, serving, going above and beyond, so
Yeah.
that I didn't have to address my own stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I never had to do this own stuff. And I think the work of coaching for me was around really going in on myself,
Yeah.
similar to therapy. And for those that are watching and those that are listening, just to provide a quick distinction, therapy historically typically is more of the past. Coaching is around going into the future. And so it's around, with therapy, you're doing the shadow work, you're working through the past stuff. With coaching, you're really setting a target, and
Mm-hmm.
you're going for, what is your goal a year from now? 6 months. That's, typically where I would work with clients on is, what's your goal 6 to 12 months from now? What's
Mm-hmm.
your goal a year from now? And also, what's your goal, long-term goal, like 15 years from now? Like, what do you aspire to be doing and
Mm-hmm.
living and breathing and stepping into? What do you want to, who do you want to embody? Like, what are the qualities that you want? Not necessarily doing necessarily, because from in the coaching standpoint, we focus more on being,
Yeah.
because we're so conditioned in our lives to do. We're very good at doing, for survival patterns and mechanisms, but the emphasis is on being.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you want to be in the world? Do you want to be unstoppable, unshakable? Do you want to be confident? Do you want to be on a mission and purpose driven? Do you want to be heart centered? Do you want to be loving and lovable? We focus on that, and then doing comes after. But being is what we center on. And so for me, given my background, my experiences, it just made sense for me to step into this work and to support people, because I didn't want others to suffer.
Yeah.
And it's so enlivening and invigorating for me to be in that energy of transformation, where people are literally changing their lives and transforming and saying fuck you to the system,
Yeah.
fuck you to the rules, fuck you to the ways that things have been, to
Mm-hmm.
the rules and the things that they have been fed their whole lives, and being like, fuck you. I'm gonna go live my life the way that
Yeah.
I want to live it, and I'm gonna create the reality that I want to see for myself. I'm going to create a new possibility for this world. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it in a way that feels aligned and inspiring for me, that calls me forward, that makes me fucking so happy. And that's what I get to do in this work. And
Yeah.
that's why it's exciting for me, is because, I'm seeing people that are, I have clients coming to me that are just so unhappy, that are in really awful relationships,
Yeah.
that are in awful relationships with themselves, or they're like horribly so unkind to themselves, where they're suffering in their jobs. And how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And when one thing shows up in one area of your life, it's going to show up everywhere in your life as
Mm-hmm.
well. And so it's so exciting to see people come in this way, come in from this initial state, and then step into this embodied, idealized state. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to take forever. Like, the mind thinks things are linear, but the creative, imaginative mind knows that miracles can happen at any moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll say miracles, but you could talk about breakthroughs. Breakthroughs can happen
Yeah.
at any moment. You can witness incredible things that can happen in a moment, because you get to choose to step into that in a moment. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a state. And so we use the word state a lot in the work of coaching, because you get to embody a state of being.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can alter your state to step into unreasonableness. Like, in a moment, you can alter that state and step into, I'm gonna go be a millionaire.
Yeah.
You set the intention and you just go.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm saying right now, we talk a lot about dualities around the energies. So
Yeah.
that's a more masculine approach to being. And so there's a masculine approach where you set a target, you hunt, you go for it. But there's another discipline, and there's another energy of the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is needed in accomplishing our goals and supporting folks is more of an integrated masculine and feminine,
Mm-hmm.
where we're going after what we want, but also working on ourselves and doing the
Yeah.
doing the inner work of being. And, like, for example, even just today, I was like running around doing a bunch of stuff, and I was like, okay, I've got an interview with D'Angelo. Let me go into being. Let me go meditate. So I meditated for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I went back into my work. I started doing stuff. I went back into another meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like a balance between the two. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
do we work on ourselves? How do we nurture ourselves? How do we reparent ourselves?
Yeah.
Because so much of our experience is learning how to reparent ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and learning how to really love ourselves. And it's not, for somebody like me who's been such an achiever,
Mm-hmm.
I've been such an overachiever my whole life. I always have this mindset that I have to check myself on. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to get a gold star for self-love. I'm going to get a gold star for inner work.
Yeah.
There's
Mm-hmm.
none of that crap. It's nothing. Like, one day you're doing great, and then the next day something comes up and triggers you, and you're like, oh shit, I've got more work to do here. And so it's like a continuous, constant
Yeah. It's a
journey of
journey, not a
self-discovery.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so much.
That's amazing. It's see, that's what I really love is that it's addressing these things because I think there's a whole lot of layers to this, and even just being Latinx is it in itself a whole like genre or aspect. Because I feel like Being in the Latinx community, we are very community oriented. That was the only way we could survive when we got to this country, and we were dirt poor and trying just to like have a bunch of kids, and hopefully most of them survive and get enough jobs to like continue on forward and all that kind of stuff. So there was no time for any one kid to strive up and say like, I'm going to accomplish my dreams. It was like, no, you're going to work for like whatever job you can get to support your family. And like so now that we're in this new age, in this new era of America, that we are now rising up and saying like, I love you guys and I think you guys are amazing and wonderful, but I'm gonna go with my passion and go follow what I'm gonna do. And that's something that a lot of us are experiencing, because like me and my sister were the only reason we're so like business driven or even just driven or ambitious is because they broke from the mold, and which was probably harder way back then, in the 90s. To see all that. So I remember one interview that you did. I think you interviewed her, who was like a therapist or something like that. And you guys were talking about how like your family was like, oh, your sibling or your cousin is like, getting some bad grades in this one thing. Can we come over and you can like help them with the stuff? And you're like, no, not really. Not today's not a good day. And they still showed up, and it's like you can't deny them, but it's like still boundaries, or something that's like,
Wow.
yeah. So that's something that I always think about and is so true to all of us, that we need to lean in more and pivot into uh being more of an individual than a community, which community is good, but like being an individual is something we're all trying to work on, so I think that's what I love about your content and your life coaching, is that you help us pivot into that mindset, is to saying that like you can accomplish these things. Why, tell me right now why you can't do this, and you just are have to own up to it. So it's really really cool. It's also good that you take the moment to actually explain that you have your own set of life coaches and that you refer to, and you aren't perfect, you aren't like the Buddha. You actually like are a man who is learning himself and all that kind of stuff. So it's like it's very humble, and again it's just genuine, and I love that about you. So it's like, I don't know, it's
Thank you,
good.
D'Angelo.
Of
I
course.
appreciate that so much. And I can't believe you remember that interview. It was with Latinx Therapy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm impressed.
it's a good one. Yeah, I watched that stuff. Oh, it's so good. And then okay, so as a content creator, we can often find ourselves working beyond our limits and ultimately burning out. What are your own sort of self-care techniques to ensure that you are like managing your mental health? I know you mentioned meditating and a few other things, but what is your go-to, your technique when you know you're in a funk and you need to get yourself out of that state?
Mm, that's a really good question. That's a really good one because
Mhm.
there's so many levels and layers to this question. Um, uh, let's see. Okay, where do I begin? My mind is going in so many different areas.
You're good. Take your time. ADHD hours. We're good.
So also the screen keeps shifting, so I'm it. Okay, anyway, there we go. It just moved again. My apologies.
You're good.
Okay, so okay, there's a couple different things here. Boundaries seems like it's coming up here. It's definitely something to talk about. I could provide some quick solutions, but there's also going to the root of what is it what is it that's maybe unconsciously showing up that we're not seeing
Yeah.
for content creators, and for a lot of content creators they might be content creators might, and especially given what's happening in the world, like scarcity definitely is real, and so some content creators are maybe overworking. They're like doing like worker level, operating at a worker level
Yeah.
to try to get things done. A couple things that work for me personally. I very much compartmentalize my days. So I know I have my go-to structures in the morning, like a very solid morning ritual that really supports me. And for me, it's very simple. It's like there has to be a level and a layer, some intentionality around mindfulness in the
Yeah.
morning. It doesn't have to be. When I first started in this work, I was pretty intense. I was waking up at 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. and doing all
Mm-hmm.
these. I was doing cold showers. I was doing meditations. I was doing incantations. I was
Yeah.
doing my exercise. I was doing the journaling, but you don't need all that. What I recommend is a mindfulness technique first thing in the morning. And so for me, it looks different sometimes. Sometimes I light a bunch of candles
Yeah.
and I'll go in on my meditation first thing in the morning. I really lean on guided meditations. I use the Insight Timer app quite a bit.
Oh, right on. Okay. Yeah.
I use Insight Timer all day long. Like
Yeah.
at night, I'm doing the relaxing, peaceful like music to go to bed. I'm doing a couple guided meditations during the day. Right before coaching sessions, I'll go into guided meditations, or I'll do my own little guided meditation. And if not guided meditation, if guided meditation is not your thing, there's that level of that mindfulness is such a strong component.
Mm-hmm.
It just sets me up to be so present and so open-hearted during the day. So it's just sitting down on the ground or sitting down and drinking a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
but being incredibly mindful of how you're drinking the
Being
coffee.
present. Yeah.
Maybe being incredibly mindful and present to what the coffee looks like, maybe the lighting that's coming through the window
Mm-hmm.
as it bounces off of the table, just slowing down in the morning. And so for me, it's around really having slow mornings. And so, I know a lot of content creators. I know you're a content creator, your whole family is content creators. I've become a content creator.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes content creators are so in love and immersed in the content
Yeah.
that we're I'm going to talk for myself. We're often in the work and often have a very difficult time separating ourselves from the work.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would say to content creators that are listening in, to myself as well, because life is a mirror and we're all the same,
Yeah.
is create some very strict and healthy boundaries and separations between your work and yourself, and how you're
Yeah.
showing up for yourself first. Because you want to show up powerfully for your work, but you want to show up for yourself first. And you want to
Yeah.
show up most powerfully first for yourself, first thing in the morning, and throughout the day as well, right? And so it depends. I use the Enneagram personality test a lot. My mentors have used it with me, and I end up being more of a type 3 achiever. So I end up going all in on my work, and especially because I love my work, I tend to blur the lines
Yeah.
of healthy work life balance, or
Mm-hmm.
however you call it. So I'm my intention is to create more synergy
Mm-hmm.
between everything that you're doing. So work, but also take breaks, take healthy breaks. And if you're somebody who gets overloaded with work, put some reminders on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe intentionally put it on your calendar. Like, this is going to be me time. This is personal time. This is going to be me where I go take a walk. I go take a break.
Yeah.
And so, one of my mentors uses the alliteration of movement creates momentum. So when you're feeling stuck,
Yeah.
just get up and go move. And so for me, I feel stuck a lot. And so when I feel stuck, I have a trampoline in my office. I just start jumping.
Nice.
Or I'll literally just go outside and put on my rollerblades, and I'll just go rollerblade around the neighborhood, or I'll just go on a walk. Movement creates momentum. So you want to just be in constant movement,
Mm-hmm.
constant movement. But of course, sometimes you don't want to be in momentum. You just want to take a break. And
Yeah.
so that mindfulness is really, really beautiful. But that mindfulness can also be infused in your movement, because oftentimes I'm on what I call soul walks in the neighborhood. And I'll just be walking, and I'm just walking mindfully,
Yeah.
like grounding myself to the earth. And sometimes I'll go outside and just ground myself barefoot. And so that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs do, is that they just go outside barefoot and just feel the grass and just be fair, just slow everything down. And so that for me works, is just
Yeah.
slowing everything down. There's so
Uh,
much here, D'Angelo.
yeah.
We could
That's.
spend a whole 5 hours
I
talking
know,
about
right?
this
Exactly.
one question.
It's a good one. It's awesome to see. What I love about interviewing people. Also, we have a question in chat, which I'll get to in one moment. But what I love about interviewing people is that we get such distinct answers from people. Everyone has a different technique. Some people are super high energy. It's like, I gotta go and go boxing, or I gotta go and just go running as fast as I can and come back, and then I'll break through it or something like that. And then we have answers, just you know just take a break, be mindful, make some tea, and just enjoy it. It's awesome to see how people navigate through different problems. So the question is, are you an Aries or are you an Aquarius? What is your sign? Someone wants to know.
Wow. Wow. Is this Maya? Is
No, no,
she
no. It's
asking?
it's my friend Crash, who's she's also into astrology. Yeah.
Oh, I'm an Aquarius.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah,
you
I'm an
got it.
Aquarius
Congratulations.
with a Capricorn sun,
Yeah.
and um oh, I wrote it down somewhere. I can't remember, but I'm an Aquarius.
Okay.
My
Yeah.
birthday is actually coming up next month, January 25th.
Oh, right on. I'll have to get you a gift. And my sister actually, like, she was in town and she read my horse or not, my birth chart, and apparently I'm like a double Leo, which was supposed to be like problematic. Yeah, exactly. Everyone does that where they're like, oh, that's super wild and all that kind of stuff. So it's funny. Okay, so next question. We know that you have accomplished so much during your career, and I love to see you thrive, both on TikTok with your dance moves and also with your life coaching and enhancing everyone's life and everything like that. And that healing by healing others, that's so powerful and so inspiring. But I also know you, just like everyone else in this world, have experienced L's, moments that have not gone your way, things that you thought were going to be fantastic and fireworks, and it just kind of was a dud and everything like that. Now, Eliana was actually the one to actually coin the phrase. Now, I no longer consider, she said, quote unquote, L's no longer mean losses, they mean lessons. So, what was the lesson that you took for one of your failures or mistakes that you grew upon? Whether it be something small and minor or something massive that changed the course of your life and everything. Yeah.
Okay, give me a moment. This is a really good question.
Go for it. You're
And
good.
my goodness, my goodness, there's been so many lessons, so many losses and
Mm-hmm.
breakdowns. Okay. I don't know who's listening. I don't know who's watching, but I'm just gonna share very openly, very vulnerably. I
This is a
lived in
safe
Los
space. You're good.
Angeles.
Go for it.
Yeah, and I think, when you get the real, it's so much more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Los Angeles, I moved to Los Angeles a year and a half ago, and I was living there, and things were going okay. Like they're just going good, like just okay.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of playing it very safe. And I have that tendency to just revert to safety. And we have that tendency as humans, is like we're operating, like our whole lives, we're just operating in safety often. And things were just okay. I went to a ceremony, a sacred ceremony, where we did plant medicine for a whole day. And it was my first time ever doing plant medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I meditated. I very much trusted this environment that I was in. I very much trusted the people I was with. And to be honest, things were just kind of okay.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing so well. I was just I felt very stuck. But like,
Yeah.
wow, there's so much more to life. There's so much more to this work that I'm doing that I know I could be tapping into that I'm not tapping into. I was being very hard on myself, and I was looking for something to just help me expand and break through. And my friend sent me a DM in Instagram. Everything goes down in the DMs, as Pat Flynn, the podcaster, says.
Yeah.
And she invited me to this ceremony in Malibu. I went. I drove. I went. I got an Uber. I drove all the way to Malibu. I went to the top of the mountain, and I was there with all these random strangers and my friend Sarah, who I had known through the spiritual community
Yeah.
in LA. I mean, after that day, I wasn't the same. I feel like my whole life changed, and I felt that I had like a rebirth of a kind of some sort.
Yeah.
I took the medicine. I meditated for about 8 hours, and at the end of the night, we were debriefing, and I was holding on to so much energy. And one of the women in the group, she noticed it. She's
Yeah.
like, "You've got stuff. You've got stuff that you need to release. You need to start screaming." And I was like, "What? You want me to scream?" And I was like playing it safe, even in that little circle,
Yeah.
right? And I was embarrassed. I didn't want to scream. I didn't want to look bad. I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
look ugly.
Yeah.
I was scared that I would look wild, that people would tell me to calm it down, or
Yeah.
to just get back into, I don't know, just whatever, just play it safe, right? Go back into your little box. But everybody around was like, "No, just go do it." And I was like, "You sure?" And I was like, "Okay." Right, looking for permission. I was looking for permission at
Yep.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started screaming, and I started like screaming, and then I kept going louder and louder, and I kept screaming, and it felt really good. And I
Yeah.
looked up, and I was like, "Is this okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, keep going." I was like, "Okay." And I kept screaming. I mean, like, like D'Angelo, I
Yeah.
mean, screaming like I've never screamed before in my entire life.
Yeah.
I meant like screaming like somebody had just killed the love of my life.
Yeah.
Like screaming like I was like, or like I needed, like I couldn't scream any louder, that I didn't know. I'd never known that I could
In
scream
that
or access
primal
this level
section
of
of yourself.
that
Yeah.
primal like rage that
Hmm.
I never thought I had inside of me, because I grew up doing martial arts. I was like rageful
Oh,
fighter.
damn. Yeah.
But for so long in the spiritual community, me stepping into becoming a life coach, I
Yeah.
got very tame.
Yeah.
I became very soft, very tame
Docile
and
and everything.
grounded, docile.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I was, very therapist like, right? Sometimes, and then sometimes I'm like more like, let's stop fucking around, let's get to it.
Yeah.
You step back into all these energies. But in that night, I tapped into an energy that I'd never tapped into before in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I tapped into a rage that I had suppressed since the age of maybe 12 or 14.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever allow myself to get angry.
Hmm.
The lesson for me that night is that anger needs to be part of the equation. Anger is part of our emotion, of our experience of life and our
Yeah.
emotions. And when you suppress the reality of like feeling rageful anger, you really suppress so much of yourself, and it translates into everything else that you're doing. And so for me that night, I screamed like I've never screamed before. I lost my voice.
Yeah.
After that night, I felt like I had stepped into this like warrior energy, like
Hmm.
this like leader, like this like dynamic leader that I had never stepped into before. All the while, I was carrying $30,000 in debt
Hmm.
at the time that I did that ceremony.
Yeah.
I had quite maybe a few clients because I was living in LA. I was a bit distracted. Things
Yeah.
weren't very focused and aligned.
Hmm.
I I was getting chronically sick when I lived in LA.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of it was around my throat. It was around expression and my throat chakra, because I
Hmm.
wasn't being fully honest and like with myself around my full range of
Yeah.
emotions. That night, I screamed like I've never screamed before, like I was being killed. And the next day, that night when I got home, I took a painfully cold, ice cold shower, because I wanted to kill old Harry.
Yeah.
I wanted to kill myself, because I said to myself, that Harry that stepped onto that mountain that morning can no longer continue on this journey.
Hmm.
He can no longer continue here, because what that Harry was not serving me.
Yeah.
Maybe to a certain extent he was serving me, but that motherfucker was a people pleaser like never before, like
Hmm.
no other. And so that motherfucker needs to die.
Yep.
And so that a big part of him died, and of course some aspects of him are still here today.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that motherfucker, no, 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 no. After that day, I got on it. I started doing ice cold showers every single day. I was
Yeah.
waking up early, doing my intentions around my morning routine. I was doing my Kundalini meditations.
Yeah.
I was setting intentions around how much income I wanted to bring in
Hmm.
the next 6 months in my business. And I hit every single goal. D'Angelo, I tell you, wow, my whole life turned around that
Hmm.
night, because energy is everything, embodiment is everything.
Yeah.
And so much, and for me, for myself, and speaking to everybody else, is like, we're often playing it fucking safe.
Yep.
We're playing it so safe, and we're tapping into maybe 20% of our capacity.
Hmm.
David Goggins says that even when people really try, they're only tapping into
They're
40% of
not
their
going.
capacity and their
Yeah.
potential.
Exactly.
They're not reaching what they actually are capable of reaching. So whoever's listening here, I don't know who you are. I can't see you. I can only see D'Angelo. Actually, I can only see myself.
Yeah.
Whoever you are right now, that motherfucker needs to die.
Hmm.
You need to kill that motherfucker. And I never talk like this, D'Angelo. You know me.
No, go for it.
But
You're
but
good.
sometimes it's needed. Sometimes tough love is
Yeah.
needed, because we know that we are capable of so much more in our lives, and we get one shot at this life.
Hmm.
We get one shot at this thing called life, and why not give yourself a fighting chance to succeed?
Yeah.
So if you're a content creator struggling with boundaries, that motherfucker needs to die.
Hmm.
You need to go create healthy boundaries for yourself, because your content is your art, and your art is healing, and that healing art and content deserves to be at the best, most optimum primal
Hmm.
content that the world has ever experienced.
Yeah.
Because you are a masterpiece, your work is a masterpiece, your life is a masterpiece, and you get to treat yourself in that way. You get to treat yourself and elevate to a whole nother level of degree of capacity, of potential, of possibility that you've never experienced in your life, because you are that bad bitch
Hmm.
and you are that motherfucker. And whoever it was that stepped into this interview, I hope you're not the same after this. I hope that somebody out there is being touched by these words because this is my
Mm-hmm.
real lived experience. And that day on that mountain, I'll remember for the rest of my life because I, I, I believe that was the day that I started living.
Yeah.
And mind you, I had already been doing coaching work for many years. So I knew it up here, but I was still experiencing a lot of stuff down here. And so if you struggle with stuff, you could work through it. And it doesn't have to take 5 years, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
take 10 years of therapy. You could decide to transform in this moment, in this very moment. Boom, right here, right now.
Yeah. And that's one of the things
My
that
lesson. Oh, go on.
all right,
Sorry.
great, good. That's one of the things that really there's two things from that. One was as an adult, as I get older and years start, coming and going and all that, more wisdom is coming with it as well. And one is the emotion. A lot of times we look at anger, we look at, you know, guilt, envy, all of these different things as like emotions we gotta like tie up and lock away and throw into the into the closet and then never see again. But that's not right. There has to be a balance. Everyone has to have their time in the spotlight. So it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel angry. Like if you try to deny it and bottle it up, you're going to explode one day. That's like inevitable. So it's wonderful to hear that story to as a prime example of the things that that you're trying to shield away or hide away from are the things you need to lean into and pivot to. Because and the second thing is that the only way you're going to evolve and become that greater version of yourself is to actually change something in a drastic way. Like obviously, if the ship is moving in a direction it's not going very well, it's not going to get any better if you keep going, and everything's exactly the same. So it's refreshing to hear about like both the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, all of those things changing for you in that way that leads you to that better Harry Lopez that we're here with today, that can have the confidence, to like rise up and to say these things to people and with such gusto. It's like it's beautiful, it's inspiring. I keep using that word, but that's the word that really captures what you're bringing to the table, and yeah, so it's good. Um,
Thanks, D'Angelo.
of course.
Appreciate that.
And then
Heal
pivoting,
it to heal it.
exactly, yeah. And then pivoting to the other end of the spectrum, what was your favorite W or win that you take the most pride in? So it could be something
Damn.
small or big. So whatever you're like, I fucking killed that or nailed it. So
Um, let's think. Let's think. Win, a big win.
mm-hmm.
Um.
And you could like honestly, um,
Oh, okay.
go for it. You're good.
As an entrepreneur and as a coach, I've for so long I've been very invested in income goals and critical numbers.
Yeah.
This past month we hit our biggest month ever. We had our first six-figure month,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
and for me it took a lot of inner work, a lot of stuff to be able to express that
Yeah.
confidently and to because there's a lot of guilt and shame, like, oh my god, a lot of people in the world are struggling right now.
Mm.
There's a lot of people are doing really well right now too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so and given in working in the Latinx community, there's a lot of we want to give back to the world. Oftentimes Latinx millennials end up being very anti-capitalist, not
Yeah.
being very inspired by money. But money is important. If you're a mom, you need money to buy
Mm-hmm.
diapers for your baby. If one of your loved ones gets really sick, maybe you're the only person that can support them. Maybe your money can help get them can help pay for that brain surgery.
Yeah.
So my biggest win is proving and seeing that hard work and that focus can actually pay off, and create the wealth, the ancestral wealth, but also
Mm-hmm.
the healing that you desire in the world. And so for me, being able to conquer that number for us, for the launch Latinx, what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
being able to hit that number, we now know that we can replicate it. We
Yeah.
can do it again. And if we've done it, then we know how to adjust a couple things to be able to double that, maybe even triple it.
Yeah.
and maybe even quadruple it. You know what I mean? And it's just the mindset. And so
Hmm.
for me, the biggest win, externally, outwardly, and tangibly, is that hitting that income goal.
Yeah.
Because what was I able to do with that? I was able to pay off a whole bunch of debt. I was able to pay off a team. I was able to hire more support for our
Yeah.
team to be able to continue the movement, to be able to support people, and creating the same kind of wealth,
Yeah.
same kind of ancestral generational healing and wealth that I created. And for me and my family, immigrants from Nicaragua,
Yeah.
and you look at me, and I'm a fair-skinned
Hmm.
a fair-skinned white Latinx man, and
Yeah.
I speak well. I'm educated, and
Hmm.
so with that, there's like stereotypes. There's like you can assume that I grew up with wealth, but that was not the case at all. And
Hmm.
you can assume that my family probably had wealth in their country,
Yeah.
and that's not the case at all. In growing up in Nicaragua, a third world country,
Hmm.
and so we carry on these mindsets from our ancestrally from our families, and what it means, what it has meant for me
Yeah.
to hit the first 6-figure month, like seeing that income come in through the door, like
Yeah.
in the bank, like money like I've never had before, and knowing that it took blood, sweat, and tears, and it didn't
Hmm.
happen overnight. Like I've been at this for 8 years.
Yeah.
um it's remarkable. It's um um yeah, I'm like, I get speechless at
Yeah.
it, because it's not, you know externally, outwardly, you see the goal, you hear that, but there's like all the blood and the sweat and the work and the conversations and the tears,
Hmm.
the amount of support that I've gotten, the village that I've gotten of support from healers and
Yeah.
my coaches and mentors, right? And thinking back to who I was on that mountain, that people pleaser,
Hmm.
that motherfucker, like
Yeah.
he wanted that, but he was not on track to getting it, because he was playing it so safe, and he
Hmm.
was he was perpetuating these unhealthy patterns. And so if you're listening into this, and if you have a healthy pattern, an unhealthy pattern that is not serving you, that motherfucker needs to die,
Hmm.
because your mission and what you want to accomplish in this world is so much greater. And so what I've learned, the big lesson that I've learned from that win,
Yeah.
is that it's never about the money. It's about who you will become along the journey of calling that goal
Yeah.
forward. And whatever it is, like, let's say for example, if your goal is to be a millionaire, and you got to start acting like a millionaire, you got to
Hmm.
start thinking like a millionaire, you got to start treating yourself like a millionaire, you've got to start organizing yourself like one, and you're a masterpiece. It's like that masterpiece thing keeps coming
Yeah.
up here, making it all sacred. um, and I also want to speak into something that has been integral in this process and this journey. um, I was just listening to, who did I just watch? It was the guy from, he's a singer, he's a rapper.
Uh-huh.
I forgot his name. I'm not him, but I've seen a lot of,
Yeah.
but like there's like that level of consciousness and like connection to divinity and
Yeah.
spirituality and to a higher power has been so integral in me being able to continue this work. Um, because when I first started this work, I was just a coach,
Yeah.
and I was just supporting people, and um, I didn't really see myself as an entrepreneur, even though as a coach you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But now I really see myself as an entrepreneur, and so there's so many uncertainties in the life of an entrepreneur. Every day is like you're creating it. You're creating your own masterpiece. It's your own. Wow, I'm not really an artist, but this artist motif and
Hmm.
idea keeps coming up. But you're creating something out of nothing, and walking with faith and walking with a connection to something,
Yeah.
whatever it is, God, love. For me, it's unconditional love,
Hmm.
and tapping into that love and that divinity has been absolutely integral in this journey, in this process. So if you're listening into this, yeah, I can't speak enough about it. I think it's been the number one thing for me. It's just continuing in
Yeah.
that faith and that divinity to my God. I call God Papa. So I
Hmm.
just I pray. I pray to Papa
Yeah.
all day long, all the time, always.
That's good. Yeah. It's one of those things where you gotta I feel like you really grow as a person when you take a moment to actually assess like what are my beliefs, like what do I have conviction in, what do I feel is right, you know, because I was raised Catholic, speaking about the spirituality stuff, and I was like forced Catholic, as a lot of Latinx kids are, and all that kind of stuff. And then as I got
Same.
older, yeah, yeah, and as I got older and reviewed the ideologies and the practices and all that kind of stuff, it didn't quite sit well with me. And then I found Buddhism, and the moment that I read it, I was like, I really believe in these teachings. I really believe in reincarnation and all of these different things. I feel this is right, but I was shy and felt that I would get shunned from my community to admit that to anyone. And it was a hard fought battle, but again, and I did meet resistance, you know, from various elders of the family to be like, so you don't believe in Jesus, and then all that sort of stuff. So it was like hard fought battles, but I feel greatly that I grew as a person once I knew that like I believe in Buddhism and I believe in spirituality and reincarnation and all these different things. And I feel like I became a little bit more whole. And when times get really, really hard, like this year, for example, when death is looming above us, you know, and there's a lot of hardship financially and, you know, this politically, all this strife and conflict, the only thing we can do, like when our movies and our chocolate and all these different things that we used to escape into don't work anymore, it's faith and spirituality that we fall back on, you know, where it's like I need to, you know, meditate. There is no good, there is no bad, there just is. And like, you know, that's really important for people to actually take a moment to just identify what do you believe. And yeah, so I really appreciate you taking the moment to tell us about what, you know, how you handle things and like, you know, your spiritual practices and everything. So it's good, you know. So
Thank you.
yeah. So then,
Thank you.
getting off the heavy stuff and going into something lighter. What geeky? I love this conversation. By the way, it's amazing talking to you. What geeky
Likewise.
passions fueled you and your creativity that makes you who you are today? What was your yeah? What did you love when you were a kid, or even now?
Wow. Um, oh wow. I love that question. I love the word geeky.
Yeah.
You know, the word geek is so endearing to me, and I consider myself very nerdy,
Yeah.
but geeky as well, right? Glasses. Um, I don't know. I like coloring books a lot.
Oh, right
I,
on.
I
Yeah.
color quite a bit.
Do you have adult coloring books
Um,
now?
I have adult coloring
Yeah,
books. Yeah,
they're pretty dope. I love them. Yeah.
me too. I love coloring books. Um, I mean, I have a trampoline.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
amazing.
geeky,
That's
right?
cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, rollerblading. I love rollerblading. I think when I'm thinking about this question, I'm thinking about how am I reconnecting with my inner kid?
Yeah.
How am I being a kid again? And coloring books, trampoline, rollerblading. Um, I love being with kids. TikTok to me is very
Oh,
very
TikTok's good. Yeah.
doing those dances, those you got to see my last TikTok actually.
I'll check it out.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, like impersonations, characters. When I'm
Yeah.
with my clients, I'll often go into accents and
Yeah, you seem to lean
person
into
different.
acting. You seem to be like to enjoy acting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was a theater major in college.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yep. Good stuff.
yeah. I was just watching Harry Potter, and I told my
Yeah.
family I've seen all these actors in England, in London, on the Shakespeare's Globe, in the
Oh,
London
really?
Theater, in the National Theater. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to be a Shakespearean actor. I wanted to do theater. I
Ah.
wanted to do the theater. Like I loved that
Yeah.
life, or that what, everything that I was doing there. But I realized that, I mean, everything is theater. Life
Yeah.
is a stage, and so every moment is like right now is a stage. We're on a stage right now.
Yeah.
Like we're on a stage, and millions of people are watching us.
Yeah.
So yeah, life is a stage in a way.
Yeah.
But to me, the most the best actors are the most authentic actors, and oftentimes when we think of theater and we think of performance, we think of inauthenticity. They're really good at lying.
Yeah.
No, the best actors are the most honest actors because they're being the most truthful.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's a really a search for truth. And for me, geek, being a geek, being a nerd, being a kid,
Mm-hmm.
truth. It's like kids are so truthful. They're
Yeah.
gonna tell you if you look. They're gonna tell you if they think if you're bullshitting them. They're gonna tell you you look like shit.
Yep.
They're gonna tell you you're not funny. They're just
If they don't
honest.
enjoy something, yeah, or if they love something,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And kids are, their expressions are so honest. Like, I was a third grade teacher, and my favorite thing about being a teacher was always, "Hi, Mr. Lopez!" Like, the
the
excitement of kids and
wholesomeness,
like
yeah,
the wholesomeness,
mm,
the goodness, and oftentimes adults tend to lose that,
yeah,
so lose sight of that. But it's always within us, so we can always access that.
yeah.
What a great question, D'Angelo. I love this
Thank
one.
you. And then this
Yeah.
next one, you've pretty much answered like a ton of the previous questions. So if you want to skip over it, that's totally cool. But this question is, if you go back in time and you could meet Harry Lopez before he went on that mountain, before he became a life coach and anything like that, and give one piece of advice to him or anyone to say like, listen, the road before you is going to be hard. It's going to have a lot of strife and a lot of conflict, but this is something that will save you a bit of trouble if you just implement these things, or whatever they might be. Now, you can pull from your own book from Harry Lopez, or you can choose the life coach route and choose something for like content creators in general. Whatever you feel is more appropriate.
This might resonate with a lot of folks,
Yeah.
and it is definitely what I've always needed to hear. And there's two things.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is you don't have to work so hard.
Yeah.
That's very personal for me because I've worked so hard always. And sometimes you don't need to work so hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really about just stopping and reassessing and zooming out and reassessing how things are being done. You don't have to work so hard, Harry. That's what I would say to Harry. And for those that are out here as content creators, maybe you're like, no, 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 I don't buy that. I do need to work really hard.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe there's a way that we could work more strategically as content creators. Maybe we can be more visionaries because,
Yeah.
I talk about the four levels of money with my clients. Worker level is at the very bottom. And so it's like worker, manager, communicator, visionary.
Mm-hmm.
And as a visionary CEO and boss, you're recruiting workers underneath you. So there's a way to slow down and get more strategic with the work that we're doing. That's number one. Because I was doing a lot of worker level stuff for a long time,
Yeah.
a long time. And you don't always have to stay there. It's a mindset. Um, Number two is I don't know why this is the first thing that came up when you said that is go be a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Just go be a badass. And Jensen Sherrill has a book called You're a Badass.
Yeah.
So
I love
like
that book. It's
maybe,
good. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great title.
Yeah.
Go be a badass. You already are one. So go be it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two things that I would say to Harry, because those are the two biggest things, right?
Yeah.
Is like the working hard has come up a lot for me, with money and worthiness and stuff. And then not believing that I am a badass,
Mm-hmm.
and what's interesting too that I would share too is that just be you.
Yeah.
Just be so you. And me just being me, my clients have all these great results. And I'm not like screaming at them, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like
Yeah.
chipper, happy, like being a drill sergeant, whatever. No, I'm just being me,
Yeah.
I'm just holding space for them to come into their own. Um, I think I said that because I was in that I speak to a lot of coaches,
Yeah.
and I don't know if coaches are listening in, but or just leaders who are in support of others.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we think we need to take on a different kind of archetype, a different
Persona. Yeah.
personality, persona, but just be you. Just be fully you, all
Mm-hmm.
parts of you, and love yourself deeply. Just keep doing the work of love, 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 love. Every
Yeah.
moment, every day. Love, love, love. Just centering on self-love always. Love, 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 love. Just open your heart always. Open
Yeah.
always, and pursue those things that are gonna keep opening your heart. Pursue people that are gonna support you in your love and the love that you are.
Yeah.
Eliminate everything else that doesn't seem in alignment because even a little drop of toxicity in your life is incredibly. It's like poison,
Mm-hmm.
and it just permeate and it just spreads.
Yeah.
And so just love, 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 love. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, he has that love is love is love is love is love.
Yeah.
That's what I would end with.
It's so true. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I feel like, especially coming from, because I am also like to a certain extent, slightly still today, but a lot when I was younger, a people pleaser. And you had mentioned that you were a people pleaser as well, and that's something that's so like prominent. I feel like in the Latinx community, but anyone really who might be either a minority or just like even a woman in a male-dominated industry and all that kind of stuff, is that need for validation, that need to get permission to just be yourself, and that feeling of inadequacy if you dare think that you could show up as your true self. And then it's it's such a huge piece of wisdom to just say, just be yourself, like just come as you're worthy, you're valid, and all that kind of stuff. And like it's so good. Okay, so I have a question from chat. What martial art did you do, and for how long?
Taekwondo up until I was 18. Um,
Damn, when did you start?
I started when I was 8 years old.
8 years old. Wow, 10 years of taekwondo. That's
10 years,
amazing.
yeah.
And I love the
Yeah.
videos on Instagram and TikTok of you performing some of those moves. It's so good. It's like the same person that's like, you can do this, you're amazing, just breaking like wood or like doing awesome kicks and everything like that. It's so good. And then yeah. So two last things. One, where can we find you online? You're an amazing human being. People have to find you and follow you. What are your handles, and where can we find you?
Yes, I am on Instagram at the Harry Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
Also TikTok at the Harry Lopez. Let's see what else. For Latinx folks that are tuning in, follow us on Instagram at Launch Latinx. That's our Latinx coaching and transformation community. We're coming out with some cool things for 2021 that are in the works right now. So tune in to those. I'm gonna have a couple master classes coming up in the next couple of weeks
Yeah.
on my personal Instagram, and I think that's the best way, Instagram,
Yeah.
because I have a website, I have Twitter, I have LinkedIn, all that stuff,
Yeah.
Facebook, but Instagram is really right now where it's at
The
mostly for
main
me.
hub. Yeah.
Yeah, the main hub. So yeah, Instagram would be the best one.
Right on. So this last segment, which is really funny because you inspired me. You and Mr. Rogers inspired me to do this. So, so we are at the end of our interview. It is about time for us to part ways. So once we do this, I know that we are friends. We will keep in touch, but our journeys will take us to different directions, and we'll have to do things, separately for a while. So I want to leave you with this: that Harry Lopez, you are wonderful from the every aspect of your body, from the very bottom of your feet to the very tip top of your head. You are wonderful in every single way. You are valid. You are worthy. I am so proud of everything that you have accomplished. I want to thank you for being alive and being in this community and taking the time to just help other people, because you have changed everyone's life. And I don't say that lightly, because like if it would be one thing if it was just me, but you helped my mother and you helped my sister, who are people that I hold so near and dear to my heart. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for just being alive and being here. So thank you, Harry.
My goodness, that was the most amazing ending to any kind of interview podcast. Thank you, D'Angelo. That touched my heart.
Of
I
course.
want to cry.
It's all valid, all truth, and all that kind of stuff. So I want to thank you again for being here with me. It means the world to me. This is priceless. This means everything. And everyone, if you're watching, please go ahead and follow him. He's a wonderful person. And we're gonna go ahead and end the stream right now. And I want to thank you guys for being here again. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.